Hey everybody, welcome back to Travel Trailer Nation. Today is the day before Thanksgiving, and it's going to be the last really nice day here in Texas, I'm afraid. The weather is going to dip, and I see some days going under freezing in the near future, which is unfortunate for us because we have a trip in 4 weeks, and I was hoping I would get away with not winterizing the trailer. Now, there's two steps you can take. Especially if you're in a warm climate, you can just blow your lines out. And I've done that successfully on a number of occasions when we had mild winters down here. Or you can run antifreeze through, or you can do a combination of both. And what I have gone to is a combination of both. What I've seen in the past is a demonstration where a lot of water, even after you blow the lines out, tends to stay in the line low and the air passes over it, so you won't get it all out. You may get enough of it out if you're in a warm climate that it doesn't make a difference, but I've opted for just running antifreeze through after I blow the lines out. I like to blow the lines out. It just gets rid of most of the water to start with, but it's certainly not necessary. Now, the other thing is you're going to have to buy antifreeze anyway because you're going to need to fill your P-traps up when you're done, whether you run antifreeze through the lines or whether you just blow your lines out. So you will have to pick up antifreeze. So what's another jug or two? It's relatively inexpensive. I believe it's around anywhere from $3 to $5 a gallon. I went to Tractor Supply and got mine, and it was 2 for $6, I think. So pretty good deal. And it just provides an extra safety factor, especially when we talk about blowing the toilets out with air. I've had like a lot of time spent on trying to get as much water out of there as I can, and I just think that that's a very weak point in the system. So best to just run, my personal opinion is just best to run antifreeze through it. Now, if you're not comfortable doing winterizing, you can take it somewhere. You can take it to a dealership, or you could probably even have like a mobile RV guy come out and do it relatively inexpensively. I've been doing it since 1990. Since 1990, I've been winterizing my trailers. There's nothing really difficult about it, but I do want to say this: check your owner's manual because every trailer is different. I can't tell you that what I do is going to be what you do because my stuff may be set up differently than yours. My bypass valves may be different. You may have 2 valves. I have 3. Where it's located may be different. Just, no trailer is alike. And I can tell you from personal experience that every one of our trailers has been different, and how to access things has been different. And some have been extremely difficult. The 24-foot Jayco we had was a nightmare to get to the water pump. So enough said on that. I think that's it. We can kind of get on with moving through the process. I would suggest that you, if you plan on doing this yourself, get a notepad and write your steps down as you go through it so that you don't forget anything. A lot of people forget things like their outside shower, or if they have a washer and dryer or an on-demand water heater, they may forget about that or not do it correctly, and then they have issues. Those are the 2 things that I will not cover in this video because I don't have a washer and dryer set up, and I do not have an on-demand water heater. So I've never done that, and I would not give you advice on how to do it. I would think that you should go out and watch some videos on it and feel comfortable with whoever's giving you the information before you attempt it. So that's kind of it. If you want to join my insanity on a weekly basis, I would ask you to like and subscribe. Now let's go look at what I do.
All right, before you start, as I mentioned earlier, you want to make sure your tanks, the gray tanks and black tank, are dumped. What little is left in there is not going to be a problem. When you get to your water heater, you're going to want to make sure that you've turned off your water heater. You don't want hot water, and you certainly don't want it under pressure coming in. So there's going to be 2 things we're going to do. We will drain the water heater, and we will go to our low point drains, open those, and we'll open up the drain for the fresh water tank. Now, I have to warn you, you aren't going to see anything come out probably of mine because I've already done this step when we came back from camping because I don't like skunky water. And if you let it sit in your lines long enough, it's certainly going to get a little skunky. So let's go ahead and we'll do the low point drains and the freshwater tank drain. And typically, and I'm not going to say this applies to every travel trailer, but once you open those low point drains, you'll probably hear the water draining out of your water heater as well. But there is going to be some water left in there anyway. I doubt I'm going to get any out of mine when I take this plug out, which is necessary. But again, what little's in there is not going to hurt your water heater over the winter months. All right, this is my fresh water tank. And we never use that. We're always on city water, so I'm not surprised that nothing came out. Now, over here, and your locations may be different, are my low point valves. And open them up. A little bit came out, not much. I did open the drain, the faucets in the bathroom to aid in getting some of the water out, but again, there isn't much left because I did this when we came back from our trip up north. Okay, you can start by opening your pressure relief valve. There's a little pressure in there. Now I have just a plastic plug. You may have an anode rod on yours. If you have the plastic plug, typically they'll accept a socket that's 15/16. So let's go ahead and pull that out. It's time to replace that one anyway. It's very old. Okay, and I will clean those threads up later. And there's a new one that I'm just going to set in there. And after I'm done winterizing, I will probably go ahead and put that back in just to keep any potential critters out. And I'm going to close my pressure relief valve. And now the next step will be to go in and bypass the water heater. Okay, and how they plumbed mine is a little bit of a nightmare, but it's typical of a 3-valve water heater bypass. The only reason I say it's a bit of a nightmare is to see the valve up here on top is hard because it's behind this other hot water line. But the middle one is right there, and the bottom is right there. So what we want to do is we want to keep water from coming into the tank, right? So we're going to close this valve. Now the water can't go in, it can only go up this way. Of course, this is closed, so we have to open that. And the same holds true for the hot water side up here. I need to close that valve, so then the water will just, try and get a little bit back, further back. It'll just come up here and go that way. Of course, it's the antifreeze we're talking about, so the antifreeze will come up here and exit over there. And that's all there is to it. So that's bypassed. And actually, I have a door in my cutout. I have a cutout door in my panel that I usually use to do this, but it wouldn't allow you to see an overview of how this is set up. You'll have to check your own water heater to see if you have the same sort of bypass valves, because sometimes they actually have only 2 valves. So check your owner's manual to be sure. All right, for the next step, I am going to blow some air through the black tank flush out valve on the outside of the trailer, and then I will hook it up to the city water intake so that you guys can see, if you were to just blow air through the lines, how that would work. Notice I'm at 40 psi out. That's where you want to be. And be careful, you know, sometimes these gauges aren't great, but you may need to adjust it a couple times to get it to the right pressure. And I have closed the low point drain valves right now because otherwise it'd just be blowing the air through those. So let's go ahead and blow some air through the black tank flush valve. It only takes a little bit. Some people like to put antifreeze down there, and some people like to put the antifreeze in their, pump it into their fresh water inlet on the outside of the trailer as well. That's certainly acceptable. You'll have to buy a pump to do that. So let's go ahead and blow some air through there. As a matter of reference, you will need to get a blow plug. I'll try and put a link down below so you can find one. They're on Amazon. They're very cheap. Let's go ahead and put this in. Like I said, I'm just going to do a couple short blasts there. It doesn't take much. Okay. Sorry. Hard to do this without a stand. And that's all it really takes. And I'm going to take it off and I'm going to go put it on the fresh water intake. All right, I have switched back to the city water, and as I mentioned, I have closed the low point drain valves. Plug it in. Notice how it stopped because the lines are full now of air inside. Let's run in. All right, now if you're just blowing your lines out, what you're going to do is go to the furthest faucet that you have and open the valve. And you'll get some water out. I'm not going to do all of them. I'm just going to give you an idea. All right, here we go again. Nothing. Nothing. Unfortunately, I still see water coming out, and I mean, that has been my objection to doing it only this way all along. Now let's take the shower down and bring it back over to the sink and give it a shot. Nothing. Nothing. I'll just turn those both off. And we're pretty much done now, except for running the antifreeze through the lines. So let's get on with it. And don't forget your outside shower. That needs to be done as well. Very hard to do with one hand. Some water. That's the hot line. I'll do the cold. That's it. I'm ready for the antifreeze. And by the way, it's so much fun, but you will want to open your low point valves again after you do that, because you know we flushed some water through those lines, so let's let those drain out, and then again I'll close them. And when I come back, I'll probably, I won't open them again. They'll just stay closed until I'm ready to de-winterize the system. Sadly, Grand Design is the only RV manufacturer that I know of, and all the trailers we've owned, that puts this on the end of their hose. Now, you might say, well, just cut it off. And I could, but I think what I will do, because I struggle with this every time, I think what I'm going to do is buy a 1/2-inch NPT fitting, a male, and connect it to a piece of hose, and I can actually run outside the trailer to a bucket. But in the meantime, I have to do this. So I'm going to put that in there, and then we'll go inside and we will start running that RV antifreeze through the lines. All right, let's go to our furthest faucet, which is in the kitchen. You only really need to run this until it runs pink, and you can see it's running pink right away. And we'll run this one. That's the cold side. There's a lot of air in the lines. That's pink. I'm going to go through these all again. I'll do them twice. Shower. There's plenty of pink coming through that. The other side. of antifreeze. Let's go run, put another gallon out there. Tank. I've done that twice too, so I have not done the toilet. So you can see that's running pink now. And then always leave some in your bowl. And that's enough, an inch or two, and you can always check it during the winter. Your outside shower. Okay, last thing you want to do is just dump, you know, a cup or so of antifreeze down your sink into the P-trap. I'm going to do the shower too, and I want to caution you guys about this. This stuff will stain. You'll hear people say, oh, it doesn't stain. I guarantee you it does. So that's why I have the faucet in that tin pan, and why I'm going to wipe all this up. I did want to give you a tip, and that is, if you do get a stain in there, in your plastic, in your shower pan, take a little Dawn dishwashing liquid and rub it onto it and let it sit. And then every time you take a shower, put more on there, and eventually it'll disappear. How do I know? Because for some reason I had a spot of it on there this year, and that's the first time it's ever happened. So anyway, that's just a little tip. Hopefully it'll work for you if you get a stain. Let's dump some down the kitchen P-trap too. That's more than enough. All right, for those of you that hung in through the whole video, good for you. I did want to say just a couple more things before we leave, and that's, you know, this is just like the primary step in winterizing your trailer. There's a lot more that you need to think about when you're putting your trailer away. Now, I don't have to think as hard about it because it's right next to my house undercover. I have rat bait in dog-proof traps around, so if anything, any rodents get around, I shouldn't have a problem. But what you need to think about is emptying your trailer of just about everything, and I do that anyway, because you never know when something's going to get in there and try and nest. So my advice to you is anything. It doesn't matter whether it's canned or it's in jars or it's soap or Windex or whatever. It all needs to come out. You know, there used to be this thing about, well, you know, if you put Irish Spring around, the mice, they'll be repulsed by it and they won't go in your trailer. And that's, you know, we tried that up north back when I was in my early 20s at my grandma's house, and the mice ate the Irish Spring. So there's a lot of fallacies out there about what you can do. I will tell you that when we lived in Wisconsin and I had to store my trailer off-site, I would put some decon under the bed, and I would put decon back in the bathroom behind the toilet. And I never saw any signs that anything had gotten in, but I just felt better safe than sorry. And then of course, we've always had shepherds. So the very first thing I did when I went back is I would remove all of that because you just never know if a dog's gonna get into it or not. So those are the kind of things you want to think about. If you're storing off-site, you'll want to turn your propane off. You'll want to disconnect your battery and probably take it home and put it on a trickle charger. I always did that. You'll want to probably overinflate your tires just a little bit because they are going to drop. Don't put your jack stands down, your stabilizing jacks, because as those tires lose air, they're going to start putting weight on those stabilizing jacks. And then most importantly, if you're off-site, is get a decent lock on your trailer, not one that can just be hammered off. You know, that's the most important thing. Anything you can do to make it very difficult for someone to steal your trailer is going to be very important. So I hope this is helpful. Like I said, this is just kind of the first step in it. In winterizing, but I hope it proved that you can do this. It's not hard. Make a checklist, go through your owner's manual, Like I said before, a lot of those are very generic, but I think they'd be useful in starting your checklist of all the things you need to do, and then you should be good. Now, if you're in Wisconsin, you've probably already winterized your trailer, because I used to do that like the second week in September, and here we are, it is the day before Thanksgiving, so we're just gonna hit a cold snap down here for like the next week. And believe me, I did not want to do this now because we're gonna be leaving again in 4 weeks, but I do have enough antifreeze that I can go through this again when we get back, and then I should be good until spring camping season. So anyway, that's it, folks. Hey, until next time, happy camping.